Hey, you. Good day, friends. I have a little bit of time on my hands this morning, so I thought I would do a quick live. I do hope that you are well, have had a good weekend. It is Monday morning, Monday celebration. No need for mourning. We're here, we are well, and we're becoming more informed. So Andrew and I were talking the last day or so about order out of chaos. Ordo ab chaos. That's the Freemasons. I think it's one of their slogans, isn't it? Order out of chaos. And I think I've been thinking about it differently than I used to think about it. I used to think that when George Bush said order out of chaos, George Bush the senior, order out of chaos, what he meant was that they're hoping to bring order from the chaos that is this world. I flipped that on its head, and I now say that their order is chaos. Order as in an order of a fellowship, an order of a Freemasonic order. You know, order is a term that doesn't necessarily mean putting things in a line and keeping them neat. Everything has its own place and its right place and so on. No, it means their order is chaos. Their order is to create an ongoing cycle of chaos from which to maintain control. Because the more chaos you have, the more your order remains relevant. An anarchist is not somebody who goes around burning and pillaging. An anarchist is someone who doesn't need to be ruled. There is one ruler, one self-governorship, you know. There is God or creator and you, not intermediary. Monarch means one ruler, doesn't it? Anarchist is someone who doesn't need, I should have looked this up to be sure, but an anarchist is someone who doesn't need to be governed. And the more you give us things that create the chaos, then the more that people will say, yes, we need policing. You know, you allow, say, some 18-year-old drivers to smash up their cars and smash up their bodies, and it's not long before the parents themselves are saying, we need more legislation to control young people. More penalties, more punishments, and so on, if they drive fast, or if they drink and drive, or if they do this, or if they do that. We've encouraged them to drink and then get drunk. And I tell you what, having a daughter go through university, that's a lot of what university life is about teaching these children to be drunk. I'm sure the booze companies must have big shares in these universities because they are cash cows. And the more these children go off to university and get drunk, then the more you need to have policemen to police their drunkenness, right? And social workers and so on, and so it goes. And, you know, along this route, a journey that I've taken, I've realized that I really need to be, you know, a higher thinking, a higher operating, higher functioning man. And, you know, I mean, I've never felt that I needed some preacher to tell me how to behave and be. And particularly as I've never held them in especially high esteem. I've never seen them as being somehow superior humans. Um, but more and more so, I realize that if we are ever to shed ourselves of the need for Big Brother, nanny state, overwatch, policing, and social services and mind control through government, if we're ever going to be without that, it's only going to be because we've realized that we don't need it and we don't desire it or really don't need it. So that's my little kind of thought for the day, really, to share, is that anarchy is actually to be celebrated. Understanding, of course, what anarchy really means. Again, it's not to go around beating and raping and pillaging and stealing and affecting another in such a way. It is to be someone who has a good enough control of themselves that in the main they don't need that kind of external control system. Because, a lot of people will go, we need, this is still kind of, from Speaker's Corner last Sunday, this thought that, and it was reinforced to me that, so many of us think that humans are barbaric, that we like going to war, that we like killing each other and so on. And whilst the majority of people believe that because that's what they've been told to think, we aren't ever going to get to a place where people think that we don't need that, because they can continue to say it's not me who wants to go to war, it's that guy with a different color skin, or that guy with a different address, or that guy with some historic baggage given by the same people who would want you to go to war, who would want you to feel that your neighbor is untrustworthy. Neighbors. Yeah, I know. I mean, I say this knowing that I've got neighbors around me who are so trigger happy. The moment they see something they don't like the sniff of, poof, let's call in a big brother nanny to come and sort this out for us. We have raised a nation of children who need nanny, who need to be told what to eat, what's safe for them, what their body needs, what to wear, what to expect in the days ahead. We're becoming absolutely disabled by the system of chaos. Order out of chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. That's what they want. They don't want to bring order as in, wow, isn't this the most amazing place to live? Isn't this city just running so smoothly? Aren't the people just wonderful people that are neighborly and are good to one another and are, having street parties and, having, just the gayest of times? People are generally well off and, comfortably off and, all of that. That's not what they want. That's not what they want at all. They want us to dislike one another. They want us to call the police. There's a guy growing plants. I got to inform you that there's a guy growing plants next door and I don't like them. So, let's make up a story about him dealing in drugs. There's a guy down the road, his child has got no shoes on. Let's make a story about how, he got upset that we inferred that his child was as much of a problem as foxes shitting on the garden, on the astroturf. I'm complaining. I shouldn't. I just think that we are not anywhere near getting to a closer connection with each other. All you see is further division, further separation, higher fences, taller walls, bigger gates, greater entrenchment, and greater subservience to an increasing, an ever increasing theft via taxes. Ever increasing, you know. Oh, but we can justify it because there's a sugar tax that's come out in the UK. I don't know if that's anywhere else, but I only found out about it recently that they actually charge you 30 pence more on a cup of soda if you go for the full. This is at Nando's. I guess it's elsewhere too. But if you go for the full fat sugar Coca-Cola drink, this is just syrupy water. They'll charge you 30 pence more for it if you go for that instead of the diet version. So they're incentivizing you taking, aspartame and artificial sweeteners, which are very harmful. So sugar. And I actually was one of the people who might have 10 years ago have said, yeah, maybe we should have a tax on things that make people obese, just to slow down the obesity rates. But again, it's like the obesity has been created, but that's part of the chaos system. The obesity is intentional. The damage to health is intentional. But this is um, you know, the the problem reaction solution, as David Icke has popularly said. You know, um, there's a problem, so we need to do something about it, and the solution is, let's tax people more. And there's people going, especially the thin, are going, yeah, tax the buggers, And particularly if you've got a bit of money in your pocket, yeah, tax the buggers, for their sweet tooth problem. Same as people would say about the cigarette smoke. Yeah. They're costing the health service a lot of money, so tax the hell out of them. Drivers are polluting the air and causing global warming. Tax the F out of them. So these are how global warming's a hoax, if you haven't heard me say it already. The temperature of this earth will fluctuate. We may be able to alter it slightly, but the system is far more powerful than we are. It'll self-correct if it needs to. Thank you. So I think we are constantly being pressed to give the system more power, give the order more power. I drop you down a dark well, you're crying and calling out for me to kind of throw down the rope and help you out, right? And that's what the system is doing. Throws you down a dark well, puts you in a system of mind control through education, taxation, slavery, pressure, a cognitive dissonant state of, you grow up singing lovely stories about animals, then you end up eating those animals. Your parents are lying to you about bunnies coming at Easter and Christmas, and then you've got to go out and compete with your brother and sister to get the scarce jobs, and probably do a job that you dislike. For the most of people, do a job that they do because they need the money. If you want to be a homeowner, you've got to be willing to kind of pay vast amounts of money to the banking system to lend you money that was never theirs anyway. All of this is throwing you down a well, so that you spend your entire life calling up to the government, please help me, please be there, throw down the rope, I need a little bit more rope. And then they'll pull you a little bit up and go, okay, that's as far as we'll pull you. Now you've got to keep fighting yourself, and you slip back down and you need their help. And it's their order and their chaos. I have a thought which is slightly tangential, but it's about this idea that I listened to some really interesting podcasts over the weekend, particularly Russian vids. He did a 10-hour marathon with PK and then with Vegan Warrior and my new pal Mac, also known as the Flat Earth Fokker. And, just some interesting kind of thoughts and ideas were shared by these guys. And I got to thinking about, humanity and whether it's true that the Roddy Piper They Live movie that Russian Vids uses as his thumbnail. If you haven't seen the movie They Live, a 1988 movie, John Carpenter, was it? I forget the director. Anyway, it's a really interesting movie. The director said it was a documentary, and jokingly, I think. But if you know the movie, you'll know that there are humans and there are non-human entities that are here. I prefer the idea that we are all in this together, and it's just the case that there are among us the sort of certain minds that the system has always been trying to pull out, use through its education system, its system of whatever, there's a certain psychopathy or a certain psychology at least gravitates towards upwards, towards these echelons of power, and typically the right kinds of people end up being those that are nearest government and bankings, and et cetera, et cetera. Maybe it's not as complicated as that, but I do get to wondering about whether there isn't more than just humanity in the game here, and there are those that are not kind of do not have all those human faculties in place. I could go deeper on that, but I'll leave it as shallow as that for now. Sometimes I wonder about these algorithms that YouTube uses for pushing my videos around to people, because every now and again my video must get pushed out to bald boys, because I'll get like just one or two people write to me and like really need to try and impress that the use the old arguments of how things can work in a ball. And the funny thing about these people is that they don't kind of get it, that you've come through all of that. You were someone who would have known those. I was someone who would have known all the kind of basic reasons why it can be that we live on a ball. And I guess I want to apologize because I don't have patience for that anymore. I don't really have a lot of time for that. Because I know, and I've said this many times, that there are a million, or 10 million, or 100 million, or whatever, millions of people who will follow this, in a year, in 5 years, in 10 years' time, who will be, oh, what? You say the earth is flat? Don't you know that if you were in a plane and you jumped up and you threw a ball in the air, or if you were in a train, the train wouldn't, the ball wouldn't notice that you were moving because everything was moving at the same time? It's like, come on, we've looked at how drag and atmosphere and, how do you show this in a lab? What would you spin up in a lab, in an atmosphere? And for there to be zero evidence of that, in that spinning and that moving and so on. How would you accelerate the atmosphere above the ground 100 meters, 500 meters, 10,000 meters? How would you accelerate that so that it all stayed moving at exactly the same pace? These are things that something is wrong in the brains of some people, or something is not working in the brains of some people, or something has been shut off that goes, yeah, that's a logical fallacy. I mean, that we know that common sense is that can't be right. We know that if a steam engine train was kind of going along, we would see the smoke rising and kind of being pushed back because of the forces of the atmosphere. We know that's what happens in the atmosphere. Move and you will see, the smoke move around a room. You could go and walk through a smoky room and you will create whirls and patterns and so on just by the movement of your little body through that room. But for these people, that the stillness of the atmosphere and the air on any given day, unless it's windy, um, it can be explained away just by words. But we know, because we're intelligent enough to have looked for the experiments, that there are no experiments that'll show that. And I guess, because I'm thinking about my activities at Speaker's Corner the other day, last week, and I'm not pleased with my performance, because I have to get past this sort of angst. Sweetheart, honey, would you mind turning that down? The frustration I feel at the lack of intellect or intelligence or ability to see by these people, I have to say, is something that is tangible for me. And the irony is they get to stand there and call me a fool and an idiot and a whatever. That's the irony. So I have to raise my game. I have to do better, because you know what? We do have a responsibility, because there's a bunch of numbnuts out there who do not have the capacity to see this. Does not mean I have to let everybody go that way, or I have to forget that there are plenty of people who, once they hear this, and then go and do a little bit of self-research and observation of the natural world around them, they'll go, "Yep, okay, this stuff doesn't add up." It helps in my case that I'd seen other things were lies. I'd already given up on the idea that my government was an honorable institution. Your government is not an honorable institution. Your government is a puppet on a string by some controlling system, and they have lied to you, and they have poisoned you, and they continue to do that. No, that doesn't mean that the scientists who work in the food factories go home at night going, "Hey, we poisoned another million people by coming up with this new recipe." They don't think that. They think that using the chemicals that are available, they've been signed off by, you can have certain milligrams of this and certain milligrams of fluoride and certain milligrams of the other thing. It's not a problem. There'll be like, I got a little label in my garage I took off a pallet that says, "This toothpaste on this pallet has got 5,000 parts per million." And the scientists will tell you, "Yeah, but you'd need to have like a whole kilogram or a liter of that toothpaste before it could kill you. So don't worry about it. It's far too small an amount to kill you." But that's not what they're trying to do necessarily. Not in the short term. They might want to shorten your life, reduce your brain capacity, whatever. But you're not going to know that, because you've never been taught that. As I say, preachers are not preaching stuff that they don't disbelieve. They believe what they preach. Absolutely. They believe what they preach. In the main, I'm sure there's a few that think maybe not, but they believe it. And most government officers, believe what they do. They think they're doing the right thing. And by the time you're a lesbian social worker, you really hate men, or you really think that mankind can't take care of itself, so they need, your social service support. They need you doing what you do. Anyway, I don't have a lot of oh, there's a few people said hello. Oh yeah. Hey Kimmy. Anarchy in the UK. Bob just put this. Oh yeah. You know what? I saw Bob's thing on what's his name? Jeff Berwick said. And it was playing in my mind because, I mean, I've known this for a long time. Jeff Berwick of the Dollar Vigilante, and he's into the flat Earth theory. So respect for that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of continuing the system of the stock exchange. For me, these are tools of control, the stock exchange and all the banking and so on. I don't say you shouldn't have a means of buying a share of somebody's company or buying into somebody's business or whatever. I don't, that should be fine. But it's just, I'm pretty sure that it's quite obvious, that the whole banking system and therefore the ticks that live on the banking system, like the financiers, they're all, over profiting and, damaging the economies of land masses and regions around the world. So, not a fan of that, just by the way. Astro King, because there's a gradual decrease in pressure or gaining height. I don't know how the spinning would affect us with regard to the wind thing. I mean, the wind thing, the shear, if we were moving at 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and even faster if you go to 30,000 feet, quite a lot faster. I haven't troubled myself to work it out, but we all know the further away you get from the center point, the axis, then the faster things are moving. People will say, oh, but if you look at a orange and you turn it in 24 hours, it's 15 degrees per hour. It's a very small amount of movement. But yeah, we're not talking about an orange. We're talking about something that has a 4,000 mile radius, apparently. So the speed at which that would be spinning, well, it's 1,000 miles here and it's 1,100 miles further up. And planes are having to contend with that variation. And depending on the direction of travel, they're either going to have a lot or a little or a sideways amount of force, again depending on where they are on the supposed ball. We're very sensitive to wind. Actually, a few of my fence panels blew over again last night. The landlord, for months, has been not able to repair them. Anyway, I've kind of done a temporary repair on it this morning. But, it was only probably a 30, 40 mile an hour wind last night. And we know about it. And 100 miles an hour, trees are being uprooted. But the 1,000 mile an hour, which is why they never teach you that. Ask people, if you're out and about, ask people, so what speed are we traveling here, where we are now? And of course they don't know, because none of us has ever been taught that. There's no formula to really calculate. You could say, well, if it's 1,000 at the equator, then at halfway up at 45 degrees, it's half of that, so 500 miles an hour. But because we live on a no-blade spheroid, then you've got to allow for slight variations in that too. And again, your height above sea level will have a determination as to the speed of that too. So these are very, there's a lot of variables that go into the formula. Therefore, we don't bother working it out. Or because we're not moving, we don't bother working it out because you can't prove it. So no, but people don't know that, and they don't even know what direction they're moving in. Say someone, so we're spinning 600 miles, 500 miles an hour here, apparently. What direction are we spinning in? If you give them enough time to work out which direction the sun is moving in, they'll go, okay, we're moving against that direction. So, sounds like I need to get going. Friends, thanks for stopping by, and have a good day. Yes, good morning. Hey, Red Eye. Barry George. Good day from Australia, mate. Yeah, Australia's a nanny state, isn't it? Gosh. Slip, slap, slop. What a disgrace. How humans have fallen so low that we need nannies to wipe our asses as we go. Oh, not me. I don't need a nanny. It's you that needs a nanny. It's them that needs a nanny. It's the brown ones. It's the small ones. It's this one. It's that one that needs a nanny. If you vote for government, you're voting because you need a nanny. Don't put it on someone else. It's you that needs a nanny.